Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're completely bypassing the dense theoretical physics and diving straight into the operational reality of Q-Day. We are going to draw a very clear, very bright line between what breaks and what survives when quantum computers finally crack our current encryption standards. If you manage data, networks, or really any kind of digital infrastructure, this is your triage phase. So let's get started. Think of today's agenda as your digital emergency response briefing. We'll be mapping out our casualties, our survivors, and the upgrade path we need to take. We're covering 1. The cryptography fault line. 2. What breaks at Q-Day. 3. What actually survives. 4. The NIST post-quantum standards. And 5. Building true crypto agility. Section 1. The cryptography fault line. Okay, let's dive into this. There is this really common conception out there that quantum computers are basically just magic wands that will instantly break all cryptography everywhere. But they aren't. They rely on specialized tools like Shor's algorithm, which are incredibly good at solving the specific complex math behind asymmetric encryption. This red and green list perfectly illustrates that fault line. All those asymmetric foundations, TLS, VPNs, email encryption, and PKI are firmly in the red danger zone. But symmetric encryption, things like AES-256 or SHA hashes, they stay safely in the green zone because they are structurally sound. Section 2. What breaks at Q-Day? It's honestly a bit terrifying to look at exactly what is at stake here when asymmetric encryption fails us. As this brilliantly illustrates, we have to face the music first. And frankly, the blast radius in our asymmetric foundations is absolutely massive. Think about it. Every secure web connection uses TLS, which relies on RSA or ECC to exchange keys. So that little padlock icon in your browser, vulnerable. Your enterprise VPNs routing all your remote workers, vulnerable. Those archived PGP and S/MIME emails sitting on servers, also vulnerable. They literally all rely on the exact same underlying math that quantum computers will crack. Now, here's the absolutely crucial point. This is not just some future risk you can put off worrying about until 2029. Adversaries are actively recording TLS, IPsec, and SSL VPN sessions today. They're basically hoarding all this encrypted data right now with the specific goal of cracking it retroactively once they get their hands on quantum capabilities. Any session recorded today becomes a wide-open book the very second Q-Day arrives. And it gets even worse when we look at infrastructure trust. Things like software updates, firmware, and application packages are all authenticated using digital signatures based on ECC or RSA. When those algorithms break, a quantum adversary could forge perfectly valid-looking signatures for malicious software updates. SSH sessions and stored private keys, totally exploitable. In short, the entire public key infrastructure, the chain of trust validating every single identity assertion on your network, just completely collapses. Your very root of trust is compromised. Section 3. What actually survives? Okay, let's all just take a breath for a second here, because I do have some good news about what survives this quantum earthquake. The digital sky is not entirely falling. Symmetric encryption is remarkably resilient. Yes, there is a quantum method called Grover's algorithm that theoretically halves the effective key length of symmetric ciphers, but it's really not a fatal blow. Essentially, AES-256 simply becomes AES-128 under a quantum attack. And guess what? AES-128 remains computationally infeasible to brute force. It is practically bulletproof. To summarize this defensible position, your data at rest, the stuff sitting in databases encrypted symmetrically with AES-256, is structurally safe. Hash functions like SHA-256 and SHA-3, as well as password hashing algorithms like bcrypt and Orgon-2, also survive completely intact. So the takeaway here? You do not need an immediate, panic-induced migration for your symmetrically encrypted data at rest. You are safe there. Section 4. The NIST post-quantum standards. Since public key encryption is officially broken, we obviously need a replacement, which brings us right to the newly finalized August 2024 NIST standards. I want you to consider this table your brand new blueprint. It maps exactly how these new standards will replace legacy RSA and ECC. Based on quantum-resistant lattice math, FIPS 203, which is known as ML-Chem, replaces them for key exchange. FIPS 204 takes over digital signatures for authentication, and FIPS 205 steps in as a highly secure hash-based backup. This is exactly how we rebuild the foundation. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that adoption is already happening at a massive scale. Cloudflare recently reported that over 65% of human traffic to its network is already using post-quantum encryption for the key exchange phase. The major tech players are absolutely not waiting around. They're rolling out these defenses right now. However, we do have a critical gap. While key exchange is progressing nicely, meaning the secure pipeline itself is being upgraded, authentication across most of the internet has not yet been upgraded. This means identity verification, basically proving you are who you say you are, is still relying on legacy systems, and that leaves it wide open to attack. Section 5. Building true crypto agility. Let's move to and see how this builds into the final piece of our puzzle, shifting from a one-time patch mindset to true long-term resilience. Fixing that authentication gap is definitely part of the job, but shifting our overall mindset, that's the real challenge. The goal here isn't just a one-time algorithm swap so we can survive Q-Day. It's about building adaptable systems where cryptographic algorithms can be effortlessly swapped out without requiring a complete architectural teardown. If you look at history, organizations that hard-coded cryptography into their legacy systems paid the absolute highest migration costs later. So true crypto agility is our durable, long-term objective here. And frankly, the tech industry is going to force this agility on you anyway. Completely independent of the quantum threat, Apple and major browser vendors are aggressively pushing TLS certificate lifetimes way down. They're moving from a lifespan of 398 days toward just 47 days by 2029. That is a massive shift. IT leaders, you really need to pay attention here. You must use this rapidly shrinking TLS window as an opportunity. You're going to have to build automated certificate management infrastructure to handle these 47-day cycles anyway, right? So align those resources and that automation directly with your post-quantum rollout. Treat them as the exact same strategic initiative. That is how you build lasting agility. I want to leave you with this final thought today. A recent survey by IBM and the Cloud Security Alliance found that when executives were asked to rate their organization's quantum readiness, the average score was a pretty dismal 25 out of 100. We know what breaks, we know exactly what survives, and we literally have the new NIST standards in hand. So if the global average is failing at a 25 out of 100, where does your organization truly stand today?